Answer everyone's question. Why don't you just make them in America now? Move your manufacturing here. If bringing manufacturing back to the US is the goal, why are companies like Apple and Microsoft, who are most likely able to bring manufacturing back to the US, off the hook? I get that if we don't let them continue to manufacture in China and exempt them from the tariffs, that our cell phones and computers, which we all use, are going to get ridiculously expensive.
The real reason is because they're planning on implementing the RFID microchip mandatory for all U.S. citizens as well as across the globe. That's the real reason why they don't want to hinder that.
But the latest manufacturing that was done in the US that we were good at was tech manufacturing. And those companies moved their manufacturing to China. They have the biggest pocketbooks. They have the most likely ability to bring that manufacturing back to the US. I'm a small business. I invented a placemat. This is my prototype. I cut and glued this together. I made a product that stops babies from dropping and throwing their toys. It's a placemat. This is the real one. Suction cups on the bottom. Comes with little toy straps that allow you to attach toys so babies can't drop them and throw them on the ground. When my son was born, I had no idea how to turn it into a real thing. They need to make product continually to be able to pay their bills. Totally understand that. So, to start my business, we started in China, where they were willing to do very small production runs for us. Because when I invented this and I invested my own money into starting this company, I didn't know if people were actually going to buy it. I didn't know if it was actually, I thought it was a good idea, but I didn't know if other parents would want to buy it. Okay, turns out they have. Cool. So now fast forward 8 years, and I have products sitting in China, ready to come. In my warehouse outside, I have about 2 to 3 months of inventory. When that is gone, I have no more inventory to sell. So then I have to figure out, how am I going to pay my employees, pay my insurance, pay my lease when I don't have any revenue coming in? I have 3 months more product that's ready to ship to the US. However, it's going to cost me, what are we up to now? Let's see, we're up to $229,000 I have to come up with in 30 days just to get it across the border. On top of the cost I've already paid for that product. I own the product. But just to get it across the border, that cost, I have to increase my prices. I have to more than double my prices. I'm selling products to people with babies. They're trying to keep up with so many new expenses in their life, diapers, some getting formula.
Wow, so just to pay for her own product to be made was like $158,000. Just to ship it is going to cost twice as much. Almost just to ship it was going to, because of the tariffs, cost like $256,000. So it costs more to ship it than it did to make it.
Baby clothes, all the things you have to buy and carry around with you for a baby. While my products are great for baby's development and they make life so much easier as a parent, you don't need them to raise a baby. People are not going to pay double the price for my products. So I can't import them right now, but I also can't run out of money. All right. If I found a factory today that was willing to do this, that had the right equipment, that had the right raw material, who had time, because these factories are already booked. The factories in the US are working hard. They're not just sitting around waiting for new companies to come in. But let's just pretend that one is like, hey, Beth, come on, we'll do it for you right now. All right, cool. Let's do it. First, we need to make molds. A mold, and I'm going to try and put that bit in this video, is a steel plate that has cut out the shape of your product. And for my product, tooled to be turned into a mold to fit the shape, because that's where the expertise lies, and then it gets sent back. You do that 2 or 3 times until it's perfect. That process takes like 6 to 8 months, and because of the costs in the US, my molds, at a minimum, if I'm lucky, will be $20,000 a piece. So I need $180,000, $160,000 just for the molds, and I need 8 months to get them made. And that's before I can even start production. One production line with my mat can do about 100 mats a day. We sell more than that right now. So I need multiple production lines. I looked into starting my own factory. The cost of the equipment alone is $1 million, more than $1 million. Then I have to find somebody who has expertise. But since we don't do this type of manufacturing in the US, there aren't people here who have the expertise to run this product line. I have to pay more for insurance. I have to pay more for labor. The cost of my products will more than double. Who's going to buy them? Nobody. So for everyone thinking it's so easy to just make it in America, like I'm all ears. I am not opposed to that in any way whatsoever. Tell me how. Tell me what I'm not seeing here. Help me figure this out. Because I'll do it. I will do it. I will make it in America if we can find a way that keeps me in business. Leave a note in the comments, okay? And
So there you have it. You have one coming from the inside of what it's like to survive in this trade war with the tariffs, as well as try to maintain yourself as a small business. Remember, America's supposed to be, they're supposed to sell you the dream of the American dream. This is supposed to be where the middle class people can thrive, and people who come up with an idea and you make it, and that's the American dream, right? Well, here you have people on the inside telling you that they're struggling and or that they might go belly up because of it. And if the goal was to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., as you can see, it's basically virtually impossible. Why is that? Well, it's because agreed. Back in the 60s and 70s or the 50s, when all those manufacturing jobs was in the land of Babylon, they moved them out because of greed. They figured out that I could pay workers significantly less if I put it in China, or if I make manufacturing in Mexico. And I'll go 15 minutes across the border of Mexico if it means that I can pay those workers pesos instead of dollars, so I can pay them significantly less. And I could then ship it over here and still sell it for normal price or even double the price, and then I make double profit. Well, the cost of that was what? They shut down the factories in the U.S. So that's thousands of workers unable to work. That's jobs being taken away. Right? That's productivity being taken away. That's manufacturing capability being taken away from Babylon. All so that what? Greedy companies can make more money. And then over, you could say, for 5 decades of it, you get to this point right here where everything you're doing is being sent in and imported to Babylon. And you got other countries like China saying that, hey, we appreciate those American companies coming over here to give us the ability to manufacture and all this other stuff, because we using their money to build our cities and putting it into our infrastructures. And heck, you blame your own American companies. They took it from y'all so they can come give it to us so that they can save and make money. Well, yeah. And that's because of greed. Okay, so this is what's happening. So now the so-called goal, right? You're putting a squeeze on the American people. If your goal is to try to force them to come back over here, as you can see, it's impossible. So there's no actual way that America, Babylon the Great, can bounce back and relive the so-called glory days. The book of Jeremiah 51, verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. This place can't be healed. The damage is already done. It's a wrap. The pride of Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is his attitude to say, well, we can still boss other countries around and we're in a position to make demands. No, you're not. This place can't be healed. It's over with. And the American way, which is covetousness, okay, which is capitalism. Capitalism is just covetousness. actually says that what these companies are doing is fine. You know, in America, capitalism teaches you that if you could find a loophole to exploit people, to exploit the government, to exploit the system, and make a lot of money for it at the detriment of other people, go ahead. You did it. You found a way to do it. That's the American way, right? Covetous is thinking in an individualistic sense and not for the people's sense. So everybody's just out for their own. So they'll do exactly what they've been doing. They don't care that they're tanking the small business owners and having these companies go belly up. They just say, hey, this is the American Babylonian way. Well, guess what? The damage is done. This place can't bounce back to the glory days. It's a wrap. These people got one or two options. They either gonna eat the cost, which they can't. Right, over 100% tariffs is twice it's just gonna cost you twice as much to do everything. A lot of people barely stand afloat as it is. And on top of it, you're really in business so that you can make a profit. If you aren't making what you've been making, then there's almost no point. Which leads to them shutting down business, which means people about to lose jobs, which in turn just kills the morale of the people in Babylon, because as this devil continues to bring the squeeze, it's going to lead to like a recession. People aren't going to spend the money anymore, which means people aren't going to go out. All the pleasures and the folly and the festivities, those are first to go. So no more going to the club, the strip club, to the parties, the nights out, the concerts, the tickets, the travels, the tours. Those go. The football, going to the football game goes, the basketball game, all those things go, which in turn causes the people to seek mirth, and mirth is gone in these streets because of the squeeze, man. So nah, man, this place is over with. Ain't no bouncing back. Give it like another month or so. You're gonna really start to see people, wail, because that's how fast things could just turn upside down because of this trade war. Hey, giving all praises to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Hashem HaRachakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders here at Great Millstone. Shalom.